Welcome to the Hours. I'm Tyler. I'm here with my friend Mark. We are Savvy Basketball. We got two different shirts, but one mind. I hope. We'll find out. We'll see if we agree or disagree. This is Would You Rather episode, and we're going to talk about would you rather have A or B and why. And I think it's a good question for us to always consider as a coach because coaching is prioritizing. In the Old English language, priority was a word, but priorities didn't even exist until about 80 years ago because it's actually an oxymoron to have priorities. A priority is the thing. What is most valuable? What's your priority? The moment we introduce plural into it, priorities, we devalue the word. And I think that we live in a society that is devaluing the one thing. And so what we're going to talk about today is what is your one thing? You should know this and have this answer as a coach, and we'll have some fun conversation around it. Mark, priority, one word. Let's go a little John Gordon right now. What's your one word for your life direction right now?
Gosh, this is a tough one. One word for my life direction right now: boundaries.
Ooh,
And yeah, just getting better at creating boundaries for myself, for my time, for my space, for my health, all those things. Just as things pile up, it's hard to make the main thing the main thing. And I think the easiest thing that you can do to guard your time and energy and mental health would be set healthy boundaries.
that's good. Okay, mine is going to be lean, Lean, lean. And you might be thinking about it as like, oh, I want to be lean with the business or lean with my personal life. But no, that is not it. Lean is picture leaning against a wall. I think right now in life, there's barriers and obstacles in leading my family in business and in all things. There's obstacles. And sometimes I get frustrated and try to run through that obstacle, run through that wall, bang on it, right? Which leads to pain and frustration. And what I am committed to is just lean up against it. Like if I just lean up against it with consistent but gentle pressure, eventually I believe that obstacle is just going to fall over. And when you think about leaning against an obstacle, it's kind of restful. Like I'm just going to lean. I'm just going to put processes in place. I'm going to, just dive into it for 5 minutes every day. I'm just going to lean on this thing and believing that leaning will eventually break through and I'll enjoy the process of leaning a lot more than I'll enjoy the process of bashing my head against the wall. So lean is my commitment.
I like that. It makes me think of consistency, like the
Yeah.
difference between habits and motivation, right? Like you said, like do something 5 minutes every day, just apply a little bit amount of pressure instead
Mhm.
of we're going to run headfirst into this wall like one time. And if it doesn't break down, then we lose our habit. So I think consistency is a coaching superpower. So coaches listening, just something that you could maybe prioritize this year. Maybe your one word is consistency and be the same person every single day for your players. I know the some of the hardest coaches to play for, work for, are the ones that you don't know how they're going to show up.
Yeah.
So you have to guess. You got to go in with some reservation. You can't be all in. So yeah, I love that difference between habits and motivation. Habits is consistency.
Yeah. I'll share one parenting anecdote, not story. Do you know the difference between an anecdote and a story?
I was going to ask that.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, I didn't really, but one of my favorite podcasts, shout out to Revisionist History, Malcolm Gladwell. A recent episode, he highlighted the difference between an anecdote and story. Anecdote is an obvious example supporting a premise. So an anecdote would be, oh, I was walking along the street and I found $100 bill. I didn't even expect it, right? That's an anecdote, right? Unexpected. Whereas a story is where the ending catches the listener by surprise, right? Whereas a story might be, oh, I was walking along the street, I found $100 bill, And I couldn't believe it. Then I saw a homeless person. I handed the homeless person the $100 bill. Then the homeless person threw it back in my face and says, "I don't want your stinking money." Okay, so that surprise, it kind of betrayed the expectations. Go
I
ahead.
did not see that coming.
Exactly. Well, that whole story, that was the example that Malcolm Gladwell uses in this episode of Revisionist History, right? As the difference between an anecdote and a story. I think a lot of times as coaches and teachers, we use anecdotes and our little teaching tool, attempt to use stories more when teaching, because they're more memorable, when you somehow betray the expectations of your listener in order to create a teachable moment. As opposed to an anecdote, which is like, remember when you actually played off of one foot against contact and you turned it over, Johnny? They're like, oh yeah, thanks for the anecdote, right? Whereas a story might be a little bit more sticky and memorable.
Yeah. Uh,
All right.
I read a book called Storyworthy, and it talks about the 5 second moment is what makes a story powerful. So when that homeless person threw the $100 bill back in that person's face, like there's just lesson that needs to be learned. Like, not everybody's looking for a handout. Like
Yeah.
maybe this person appears to be homeless, but they're not. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
what makes like a really really good story is the 5 second moment where it just slaps you in the face
Yeah.
and the lesson learned.
Yeah. Well, okay. I don't know if this is an anecdote story. Let me come back to the brief parenting. You tell me, anecdote or story that I wanted to share. And it's related to leaning as opposed to pounding your head against the wall. Uh, John Maxwell shared this teaching about parenting in one of his podcasts years ago that has really informed how I attempt to approach parenting. So, after being a parent and a grandparent and teaching leaders all across the world, Dr. John Maxwell shared that the majority of what we do when parenting, he believes has very little impact on the outcome of the child's life. Like there's those moments where we're like, no, we're going to draw a line in the sand. My child's being really, really rebellious right now. This is the defining moment of the direction of my child. If I allow this, they're going to end up in jail, right? And he offered up this, like, actually those moments and how we choose to handle those really high emotion blow ups actually don't matter nearly as much as we think they do. But rather, the example that we set, the consistent leaning into our values over the course of their entire life, have a much greater impact on the trajectory of our child's life than any single moment. If you think about those single moments where you're banging your head against the wall, right? Versus leaning into your values over 12 years. He said, free yourself up as a parent and don't feel like you're failing your child in any moment or that you failed with an angry outburst, but rather just lean into the long term. And I just, like, that really impacted me as a parent. And I think it's also a lesson that we can utilize as coaches as well. When one player is late to one practice, and all of a sudden we're like, this is the moment that's going to define my program, right? As opposed to leaning into the value and standard of showing up early, just consistently. I think that would be. Is that an anecdote or a story? I'm gonna say anecdote because no one was surprised by the ending there.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what inspired the whole lean in piece for me.
I think also think about coaches that you've played for. You probably don't define your experience based off one moment or like one
Yeah,
reaction. It's probably the over the course of the long haul, unless you've just had this like huge traumatic experience that maybe severed the relationship, something like that.
yeah. But a lot of times those traumatic experiences are just the final act of that long term lean in. It's rare that you can have, like, you go have that like traumatic experience without history, like.
Yep.
So I think yeah, they're definitely related as well.
Yep.
All right,
All right.
shall we?
We shall.
All right, here it is. You can only pick one. Okay. um, you can only pick one dribble move to teach all players on your team. It's the only dribble move they have. What do you pick and why?
Oh my gosh. This one
I know.
this is tough. Okay, which one would I prioritize? My initial thought was not even a dribble move, but just a change of pace, like a hesitation, a stutter. Uh, I think that's the most practical use in many different situations. So we want a high leverage one here, and it's one that anybody, regardless of skill level, can probably accomplish.
Yeah. Okay, good. I like it. I am similar, but I'm going to get a little bit more specific. I'm going to say what I would teach the bulldog, which is also known as a cross jab, as the only dribble move that I would teach. I'll tell you why. It does change your pace. And so it is related to what you said. It's a very specific way to change your pace. The bulldog or cross jab is best used when the ball handler already has an advantage. So it's most commonly used either in transition or when a ball handler's downhill against drop coverage in a ball screen or a rotating help defender. The cross jab is not used from neutral very often, from neutral against a set defender. And so if I only taught the cross jab, it's probably going to inherently encourage my players to only attempt to beat a defender when they already have an advantage. Space before advantage, advantage before shot. And so, if you want more info on the cross jab, I actually taught this last night and got some film of it because one of the members in our Savvy Coaching membership said, "Hey, can I get video of a skill session where you teach the bulldog?" And so I went and filmed it, and I will be getting it out here in the next week. So that is the one dribble move.
If you're watching on YouTube, you may have noticed my reaction whenever Tyler said cross jab because that was where my mind initially went. But I went away from it because I was like, you know what? Like, does that scenario come up enough? So I
Yeah.
would almost lean towards like, give me a dribble move that creates an advantage. That way we can get to advantage more. But man, the cross jab is like just such a sexy basketball move. It's just a beautiful move.
And the footwork sets you up for acceleration. And there's three layers of reads off it, which we were getting to last night, right? Jab go, jab pull, jab cross. So I mean, and you can just like read it within 20 minutes last night. Some fairly, I don't know, mediocre level basketball players were doing it. So I like something that people can pick up quickly as well.
All right, last point on the cross jab. One reason why I like teaching the cross jab is it teaches players to coordinate the ball and their feet, or their
Yes.
hands and their feet, I guess. So when the ball bounces, this foot should be down and planted, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that translates to so much more basketball, like a stride stop. When you
Mm-hmm.
pick the ball up, this foot is down, should be your outside foot. Or
Yeah.
when you're finishing, this foot should be down. If you are, um, oh god, yeah, like here's a underrated skill in finishing we might get to later in this conversation, but coordinating hands and feet is way more
There it
important.
is.
And yeah, it's like the foundation for finishing there.
Foundation. So coordinating and disassociating hands and feet are what lead to what we talk about visually as, oh, they're such a creative ball handler, right? Or they have rhythm. How do you teach a player to dribble with rhythm is a common coach speak, right? Well, really it's just if you are a creative ball handler or you can dribble with rhythm, it just means you've disassociated your hands and your feet. Initial ball handlers, like it's hands and feet together, ball down, foot down, ball down, foot down, one to one, one to one, one to one. And so what Mark's talking about here is the cross jab actually allows you to have the ball hanging or not on the ground while your feet are hitting the ground, right? You can have one dribble to two steps as opposed to one dribble to one step, which also opens the door for all sort of creative ball handling, but also creative finishing, also creative footwork and shooting off the dribble as well. So it's disassociating your hands from your feet in upper body from lower body really creates that rhythm or that artistic basketball player. And cross jab relates to that.
Yeah, people call it pocket the ball. Some people call it a float dribble. I coached a player. He's still playing. He played with the Pelicans over the summer league, just high level pro overseas, and his hands were like a thing of bananas. Those things were
Mm-hmm.
so big that he could just palm the ball and just bring it wherever he wanted to. It was a cheat code for him.
Yeah,
So, all right, let's do this, Tyler. You can only pick one action to run offensively. What are you picking?
that's so easy. It's so easy because this is actually one of those times, one of those rare times where I am going to follow the majority. Okay. Majority of high level teams, their primary action is a ball screen. And I am going to follow the majority and say that is the only, if I could only teach one action, that is the one action that I would teach. I'm sorry, Rose Series devotees. I didn't pick anything off of Rose Series. And I'll tell you why after Mark picks something out of Rose Series.
Follow is technically a ball screen and rose series, but it's not probably what we're traditionally picking when we think ball screen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'll tell you what my initial thought was going to be fan,
Yeah.
but I'm going zoom. And when I say zoom, I mean a stationary handoff, what people traditionally call flash game, get game.
Mhm.
I've called those zooms because you can play different options off of it. So ball screen, I would say, your options are use it or refuse it. So off of Zoom, what I like to do is if I feed the Flash player, the Zoom player, I could get it, I could cut it, I could split it, so that would open up more action. So maybe that's kind of a cheating
Yeah.
answer there. But I love Zooms. They're so difficult to guard because it's hard for defense to hedge because that player has the ball, or if you hedge early they can just keep it and go, and then also you get your catch with an advantage instead of having to play off a ball screen to create your own advantage.
Yeah. It, I like that and I agree with that. It's interesting that I chose a ball screen and yet I don't teach any of our academy teams ball screens, and don't use them at all. Um, and why? It's because I don't think it's the first one you should teach. I feel like it's the most effective at the highest levels of play, but the least effective at the lowest levels of play. But if I could only pick one, I'm going to trend towards what I would need or a player would need at the absolute highest level. If that was my only desired outcome. All right, Mark, you only pick one post move, and you can define post move however you see fit here.
Okay,
You
I'm
can only
gonna
pick
go
one
just
post move to teach players.
yeah, I'm gonna go traditional post move. This one is actually an easy answer for me. I would say, let's say mid post. So I would say mid post middle. Like let's get to the midline. So if I get a catch with 2 feet in the paint, I should catch and score. There's no post move needed. Let's say I get 1 foot out of the paint or 2 feet out of the paint, and I've got to get to the rim. I teach players like kind of probe, crab dribble, feel your way, fight your way to the midline. If you can get to the midline, you have anything you want, like a little baby jump
Yep.
hook. If they take that away, you got your up and under. As you're dribbling to the midline, if they take that away, you got your drop step. So I think if you have a good move, a little baby jump hook to the middle, it unlocks everything in the post.
Perfect. I think post players only need a strong hand jump hook. That's it. And so, a high level one might need a counter from that, but like that's it. Yeah. And how to get there, I would include in that as well. Strong hand jump hook, strong hand jump hook. What percent of all basketball players, because we here at Savvy believe in every player, every skill, what percent of high school basketball players would you say have, and we're calling this as like a post move, have a jump hook?
I would
They can get to it and they have it
ten
and they can
percent
make it.
maybe.
Yeah, 10%. Every player needs it. And so really what we're creating here is we believe in every player, every skill is the priority that we would encourage you to have for your program. Like every player has this off the dribble, has this action they can run, has this post move. Because when they go to a skills trainer, within one session, they're going to get 10 different things, which is not how you improve quickly, right? And we have 10% of high school players that can actually do a jump hook. And we're working on 8 dribble combo tween step backs. What we're trying to help here is you to just simplify because we believe that simplicity wins. Help you to simplify your player development by identifying what's the one skill. Now, you might have a star player that has 2, 3, 4 skills. They're working on that with their trainer. Great. But like, if you just say, hey, every player in our program needs to have a jump hook, guess what? More players in your program will have a jump hook. Every player in our program needs to be able to, cross jab or bulldog downhill. Then you can incorporate that into your pre-practice, into your games approach, et cetera, et cetera.
So I think a lot of coaches probably teach at Barkley that are listening to the podcast where you're inverting your offense, right? You're putting your littles in. Think of the post as a place of attack, not a position. So like, oh, we don't have any post players. That's okay. The post, the mid post, low post, whatever you want to call it, is a place that you can attack from. So think about ways how you would get the ball there. You might cut to the rim off a second cut, back cut, burn cut, and find yourself neutral with the ball. You might Barkley. You might run action that I call punch, which is another way to invert your offense. So, like Tyler said, every player, every skill. I would kind of reframe my thinking of like, I'm not teaching you post move. I'm teaching you how to score from this place on the court. All right, we did the post. Let's do a perimeter. Let's just say we're some type of finishing move off the live bounce.
Cool. One finishing move. I'm going to go. Gosh,
I've
this one's
got mine.
hard. This one's hard. I'm going to teach. I'm going to teach stretch. I'm going to teach stretch. I was between stretch and power. I'm going to teach stretch. And basically, stretch is when you got a defender on your hip or back. And I think that's like you're not wide open, where you just shoot your classic running layup for a 9. You know, you've got a little bit of contact, or you've got a help side defender coming over. I want to see if they can extend outside their body and stretch it to the rim.
Are you using stretch as like what would be called a stride stop finish, or this is different?
I would say different, because stride stop implies coming to a stop. This would be what I would call a stride finish, where it's a gather 1-2, lengthening your body away from the defense, toes and chest, generally more towards the sideline, extending a hand under the ball and out in front. That's what I'm calling stretch.
That makes my answer really easy. My answer is
Okay.
what he said.
Okay.
That was the one
Perfect.
I was going to pick, just because I think most of your players can finish off 1 foot already, and
Yeah.
my dog's freaking out. Sorry, and you're only going to get so many of those opportunities where
Yeah.
you're going with speed at the rim. So stride stop, and again, I think that or stretch finish. Sorry, if you can stretch finish, you could probably develop a stride stop from there.
Yeah, for sure. And really, I believe that, let's say that you get 10 layup attempts per game. Okay, 10 layup attempts per game. Of those 10, probably only 2 or 3 are wide open. Breakaway, no help side blow by, 2 or 3. Okay. The other 7, I believe, are going to be makeable off of a stretch, where they wouldn't be makeable off of running 1 foot, or they'd be highly contested. It turns, what is maybe a 50-50 shot into like a 70-80% shot, just being able to stretch. All the other outside of those 10, I would rather just players pass. Like when there's a defender in front, right? There's no advantage. The ball got to them, but there's no advantage. I would rather that just be a pass. I don't even want to give them a tool to create a shot off of that, because I'd rather them just pass, and let's continue to try to hunt 9s and 7s.
I'm gonna give a zoomed out answer here, which if I could
Yeah.
go back 2 minutes, I would cheat and I would say I would teach a finishing move with hands to the rim. Heard this recently. So body on the side. How do we know if it's a good shot or bad shot? What's the difference between like an 8 and a 5? Or should we
Mhm.
shoot this shot? It's like, gosh, we're getting layups, but yeah, if your hands are going away from the rim on a layup, bad
Yeah.
shot. Not a shot we want. Hands
Hands
going.
away is a 5. Hands to the
Yes,
rim, I'd say, is an 8 or a 9.
I think that's an easy way to clarify. So I'm gonna amend my answer and say any finishing move with a hand to the rim.
Yeah, which is a
Um,
stretch.
all right, your turn.
Okay, we're going to flip to defense, defensive skill sets here, and take this any direction you want. And I think this really for what the motivation of asking this question is like, how do we actually evaluate defenders? Oh, they're a good defender, they're a bad defender. Let's get a little bit more specific, because if we say, hey, you're starting because you're a good defender, then every other player on our team doesn't really understand what they have to do to earn more playing time. I have to be a good defender. Well, what does that mean? It's not all the same. So what do we actually value? You're starting because you can do this. So what on ball defensive quality or skill, if you could only pick one, be as specific as you can, would you prioritize?
I'm glad you vamped there for a little bit because it gave me time to think. Because when I see on ball defense, I'm like, I mean, just lock the ball. But
Mhm.
I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to go. You said specific. I'm going to go not fouling on the ball.
Mm, that's good. I'm going to say physical on the ball. If a defender can be physical, and I think it directly relates to not fouling, if they can be physical without fouling, I think there's so many. I think that's so valuable, and there's so many other things that they're doing well. They're moving well. Their hands are active. They're taking good angles. Right, mentally, they're able to anticipate and predict what the offensive player is going to do. The player that is never physical on the ball, that is leaving a huge gap, is probably slower. Right, they don't understand angles very well, and they're not having a presence. I want an on-ball defender to be a pest, just such a pest, like to invade the mind of the ball handler. So the ball handler can't be thinking about anything else except the opponent. I can't. The ball handler isn't thinking about running the offense. The ball handler isn't thinking about setting up their best move. The ball handler isn't thinking about time and score. The ball handler isn't communicating. The ball handler is only like, I hate this defender. You are such a pest, right? You're touching me. You're in the bubble. Your hands are touching leather. That like, so I would just say physical.
Yeah. Some other ones that might come to mind for coaches would be like stance. That's it's always a sticking one. Is like, hey, yeah, play defense in a stance. And then as I thought more about it when you were talking, is like I might go intangible here, like just attitude or like work ethic
Mhm.
or like just a tenacious on ball
Don't
defender.
worry, that's coming, Mark. That's coming.
Okay, all right, that maybe that's the one you're going to ask.
Yeah.
Uh, let's do this off ball defensive skill.
Okay. Number one off ball defensive skill for me is going to be hunting passes. And that's probably different than maybe where a lot of coaches would go. And I think that's fine. I think like, helping on penetration or contesting things at the rim might be the most valuable. And I get that. I just really want, like, I think the greatest indicator of offensive IQ is passing. And I think the greatest indicator of defensive IQ is stealing passes or hunting passes, as we say here at Savvy. It just shows like an awareness and an opportunism and a prediction that shows a high level of engagement. If you can hunt passes, anticipate passes, you can probably anticipate anything else we want you to anticipate.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to go positioning because I think if you're in position, you have
Yeah.
the ability to hunt a pass. You have the ability to be in help, right? But I think
Mm-hmm.
knowing where to be, when to be there, and how long to be there, if you can do those things, you're going to be a really good defender, even if you're not physical on the ball or you're
Yeah.
not tenacious on the ball. Like, be good at all the other stuff. So, if you
Yeah.
have a player that's not a great on ball defender, it's not the guy that we or the girl that we just described on ball defense. I would really lean. How about that? Lean
Yeah.
into their ability to be an off ball defender and just make sure they're in position. And then maybe we'll talk about intangibles. That would be communication there. If
Yeah.
that
Okay. I really like that we distinguish these things. JJ Redick, by the end of his career as a player, became a very, very valuable and positive defensive player. But he never became a value and positive on ball defensive player. It was his off ball. Like he never missed a rotation based on their ball screen coverage, when they were sending doubles, what any sort of thing. He just like he was always in the right position. And so became a really good team defender in the NBA. But he was never the on ball defensive stopper. And if you can identify this in your players and then put them in positions to play to their strengths, you just got a team of better defensive players. But if you say, no, the only way to be a good defender in our entire program is your on ball stoppage, or the only way is by your off ball positioning, all of a sudden half your players just got a lot worse. So our job as a coach is to identify strengths and put players in positions to be successful. And so I think that's where these two questions really matter, and you need to have your answers to them.
Yeah, I think if you just categorize the defense, individual defense is like three different buckets: on ball, one pass away, two passes away. No matter what system that you run, be good at two of those three.
Yeah.
If you're good at all, if you're good or elite at all three of those, you're just going to be an unbelievable defender. But what I always did with my players that were not great on the ball, it's like, man, we can live with that as
Yeah.
long as you're good at the other or two of the other three.
Yeah. Okay. Did who went first on that one? You or me?
You went first.
Okay, let me ask you this one. This is not specific to offense or defense. This is just what's the one intangible, as we commonly define intangibles. What is the one intangible that you prioritize in a player? If you can only pick one, your players Every player on your team can all only have this one intangible, and they have no others. Okay, what is the one?
um, I'm gonna say trust.
Ooh, all right, define that for us.
Yeah, I was gonna go team like a good teammate or like positive energy, but I think trust would be the root of everything is gonna follow and flow after that. If I'm trusting the system, if I'm trusting my development, if I trust my teammates, if I trust the process, then I think that's going to allow everything else to be a lot easier because you could be really positive, you could be a rah rah guy, you could play really really hard, but if you're doing that in a silo, I still don't think the sum is going to be greater than the parts. So I think if you're going to make your team, if you're going to take your team above their potential, we want to build skill, beyond like what the parts are, then trust is going to allow you to get there easier.
Yeah, that's good. This is the hardest one for me to only pick one, but I will pick. And I'm going to use the word spirit. Spirit. Like, spirit is energy, it's like a zest for life in the game. It's like positivity. Spirit often like is seen in the noise level of a practice. Like a very spirited team is talking a lot, touching a lot, right? That's all spirit. And I'm picking spirit mainly because I value an enjoyable practice and game experience. Whether we win or lose, whether we have a productive practice or not, I want us to enjoy it. Like I want smiles. I want just like the joy of competition and mastering the craft. That's what I love about basketball. And if you feel like you're out there just pulling teeth, even if we get better, I just would rather not be a part of that.
Yeah, I've been a part of those teams. I've been
Yeah,
both ends of the spectrum. Just
yeah,
teams that have a great spirit, win, loss. You go to the gym and you just know it's going to be a positive experience. You're going to have fun with the people that you're going to do it with. And then I've had other teams that just that spirit is just it can come and go. It ebbs and flows, and when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's really bad.
yeah. I mean, there's energy givers and energy vampires, right? And like there's people that like are giving spirit, but there's ones that just suck the absolute life out of the gym. And I hate being around energy vampires, and I just want them to leave. So yeah,
Do we need to give John Gordon like a residual check or anything
I mean
after
he's
this? Or
he is impacting. Yeah, I know he is impacting our content here significantly.
yeah, I was on a
Thanks,
Zoom
John.
with him. Oh, yeah, thanks, John. I was on a Zoom with him over COVID. He was good. I enjoyed spending some time with him.
Nice.
Okay, intangible. That was tough. Let's go physical quality.
Okay, let me ask you this one because I want to narrow this down a little bit.
Okay.
All right, height, speed, or strength. You can only pick one for all players on your team. Which do you value most, height, speed, or
Hmm.
strength?
I'm going speed. Speed kills. I think height. I don't want a bunch of 7 footers. Um, strength. That was one that you said. I would
Yeah,
love a strong. Actually, probably the best team I've ever coached. We were just really really strong. So I'm kind of
yeah,
rethinking that. We weren't probably the fastest team, but we were strong. We were physical. We dominated the boards on both ends. But I'll stick with my original answer: speed. I mean, the way that we play, if you don't have
yeah,
any speed, it might be difficult to play that way.
yeah. Gosh, I'm between speed and strength as well. And I probably have to go speed. I'm really trying to convince myself to go strength. Gosh, strength. I mean, you can just be like so positionally sound. You're better on your drives to the rim. You'll be a better rebounding team.
Better
Like
defender.
better defender. Like I think speed is actually more valuable on offense, and strength is more valuable on defense. Um, Golly, I'm
Yeah,
gonna go speed. I'm gonna go
yeah.
speed.
I'm thinking of it this way: is if I'm going to play one on one against somebody, do I want them to be really fast or really strong? I might
Yeah,
prefer them to just be fast, and I can push them around a little bit.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
talking myself in the strength.
So, well, it's very interesting that we're talking about basketball and neither of us chose height. Okay. And so I think like maybe if you take anything away from this, coaches, you may be overvaluing height. You may be overvaluing height. I, yeah. I mean, I've just seen it play out time and time again. Most opponents that I coach against, most opposing coaches, will play a useless tall player that hurts them It hurts them offensively, and it hurts them in transition. I mean, and they're not able to finish, and they're not even that good of a rebounder. Yeah, so devalue height a little bit would be the thought
Yeah, I was
on
going to
that.
say the same thing. A lot of coaches will say, "Well, I know you prefer 5 out offense over 4 out," and I actually don't have a preference. I would say most years I don't have a post player that's in my best five.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to. And for a long time, I actually did play with my 4 best perimeter players and my best post player. And sometimes my best post player was my eighth man. And it was
Mhm.
just like, well, he's our post player. And then we got to a point where I'm like, why am I not just playing our best five? Like I love flexibility, versatility. And then once you do that, if I have a post player, fine, we might be 4 out, 1 in, or we might find ways, like we said, to invert our offense, but play your best five.
Yeah, and I think assuming that you're playing a post player oftentimes influences strategically how you're playing defense and how you're playing offense. And when you can free your mind from that, then so many options open up to you, right? So, oh, well, I have to play a post player because we have to guard the other team's post player. Well, how you are trying to play defense is then influencing your need to play a post player. But if you're like, no, we're going to play defense in such a way that we never guard the post, then all of a sudden you don't need a post defender, right? Or if you're going to play offense in such a way that we're going to dribble into post ups and not pass into post ups, then it's going to change how you shape the floor. So I think like do away with your existing paradigm of we have to guard the post, and so we need a post. Instead, play to your strengths of speed or strength accordingly. I do want to do one more. What I'm going to give you three options again. What shooting quality do you value? So I'm going to give you three shooting qualities or shooting skill sets. Which one do you care about most? I'm going to do this twice. I'm going to do two different sets of three. Here's
Okay.
the first set of three. Okay. Um, Mid range killer. Just like gets to their spot, can do it. Okay. Stationary sniper. Okay. Or contested shot maker. Stationary sniper, mid range killer, or contested shot maker. Which shooting quality would you value most across your entire team?
Contested shot maker, is that like on the perimeter or just anywhere?
I'm going to say anywhere. Yeah, because I actually don't like distinguishing between finishing and shooting. I just think it's shooting. You
Scoring.
know what I mean? It's scoring. Like, can you put the ball in the basket? So like yeah, contested be anywhere, but like there's people like they can finish highly contested stuff at the rim. They don't see a closeout. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Whereas the other two are more open shots.
Yeah. I'm going to say contested shot maker, even though I don't want to take contested shots. So, you might lean towards like, give me a catch and shoot guy or girl, but I think you can take those players out of the game if that's the only thing that they can do. Mid range, I'm thinking of like SGA, Luca, like players that just can get to their spot. That is really, really valuable. But I think a lot of those shots are contested.
Yeah.
So give me the contested shot maker.
I would say both Luca and SGA are contested shot makers first and mid range
True.
creators second. Okay, I'm going to go the same. Contested shot maker. It's just capitalism. All right. It is the most rare and therefore the most valuable skill. You know why we hate contested shots? Because most people suck at making them.
Right.
Give me a contested shot maker, and all of a sudden we change everything. Um, Everything. So yeah, I think being able to make contested shots is the most valuable skill. The reason we love wide open off the catch threes, like I'm going to say, like a stationary sniper. You know why we love those things? They're easier to make. More people can make them. So there are more stationary snipers in the world than there are contested shot makers. And so that's the skill that I would value the most as well. Okay, yeah, that was a fun one. Thank you for doing that one with me. This was pick one and why. And hopefully, the outcome of this is maybe it impacted how you think about skills. But here's my challenge to you as coaches: define this for your team. Say, we prioritize this. I, as a coach, prioritize these things. Want to play more? Get better at these things. Because what most players do is they attempt to earn playing time or earn touches or earn shots by doing things that are completely opposite than what you actually value. And that's because we as coaches don't do a good enough job regularly of saying, like, this is what I value. Mark talked about trust. We as coaches communicate our trust in our players by playing time. Playing time equals trust. So we need to tell them, earn trust, earn playing time by improving these things and doing them more and doing these other things less. If you don't define it, you'll just continually be frustrated by players doing things the opposite. Players aren't doing things out on court to frustrate you. They're doing things on court that they think work, that they think are going to help them score or earn playing time. And if they continually do the same things, it's on us as coaches. We haven't been clear enough about our priority. We have too many priorities, and they often don't align with the players' priorities.
Yeah, I like that. I would say coaches think about what you say a lot. Like what lens do you watch the game through? And if you're in the off season, preseason, I would actually recommend prioritizing one intangible of your team because it's something that everybody can do, and you can do it in many different areas in the weight room and meetings, when you're playing pickup. So all of those things will carry over, and that's where you'll kind of get into your core values that'll shape the rest of your season.
Well, thank you for hanging out with us on the hours. I'm Tyler. That's Mark. We are Savvy Basketball. We've got a free trial on our membership. You want to learn more about what we do, join over 400 other coaches across the world that are getting savvy. We would love to hang out with you. 7 days free. Dive in, and hopefully we see you inside.
Later. Stay savvy.